What's up guys, and welcome back to the Hazer channel. This video is kind of a follow-up on the last video I did with the flip run where I made 860k in about 10 minutes. This is just going to be a tier list involving a lot of the items that I flipped in that video, as well as some other ones that I like to flip during these flip runs. I'm just going to rank them from S being the best and F being the worst. And this isn't just going to be a list where the higher priced items are on top because they have bigger margins. I'm going to try to take into account that some of these items like the bandos, tassets, and chest plate cost a lot. So players with not a large cash stack might not have as much success flipping these because they won't be able to do a lot of items at once. So I'm going to be taking into account a lot of things to rank these in what I think are the best items and what are the worst items. Hope you guys enjoy. So to start things off here, we have the Archer's Ring. I would put this in B tier, but just because the margins are usually pretty good, I'm going to place it up in A tier. The reason for this again is that the margins are usually anywhere from 40k to 120k. I'm going to put the Berserker Ring here as well because it's got about the same margins, and both of these items are relatively cheap, I guess, for flipping. The Berserker Ring being at 3 mil and the Archer's Ring being at 5 mil. They're really easy to flip. Even if you have a 5 mil cash stack, you can flip both of these one at a time pretty much and make anywhere from 50k to 150k per flip every time. So the next item we have is the Berserker's Necklace. I'm going to put this probably in the F tier just because this takes a while to buy and sell, so it's not very good for flip runs. It's not awful for doing just general flipping if you have a lot of time, but for flip runs it's not very good. You only get about 10k profit per item usually. I'm also going to put the Robin Hood hat in the D tier for kind of the same reasons. You sometimes can get a pretty good margin on these, but a lot of the times it's going to take a while to buy and sell. This used to be a really good item, but now it kind of fell off, so not a lot of people are buying and selling these anymore. For the bandos, chestplate, and tassets, I'm going to put these in the B tier. I would put these in S or A tier if this was just for flipping in general, but since these are for flip runs, which are supposed to be fast things to do, they're probably not very good just because you'd put most of your cash stack into these due to their high price, and you wouldn't have time to buy other items and flip other items. So I will leave these in B tier for now. Next up we have the Guthan's armor set. I have this separate from the rest of the Barrows items just because I'm kind of biased towards this one. I like flipping the Guthan set separately from all the other sets just because it's a lot more consistent, I think. Just because there's a lot of people that I think the Guthan set is probably the most used set by like general players. The other sets are mostly just used by PKers or PVMers. For the rest of the Barrows items, I'm going to put those in C tier, just one below, just because you can still get good margins on these, but I don't think they're as consistent as the Guthan set itself. If I had to, just a quick vague description, I think Aram's would probably also be in B tier, along with maybe some Darox items, but the rest of Barrows should be in C tier. For Eternal Boots, I think I'll put these in the C tier. They're just an average item that you can flip during these runs every once in a while if you run out of items to flip or just want to try something new. I do this maybe 1 out of every 3 runs for okay margins, so I'm going to put that in C tier. The Regen Bracelet, I'm probably going to put either in C or D tier. I think I'll put this in D tier just because this is the absolute worst of the Onyx jewelry compared to like the Fury and the Berserker's Necklace. I don't think this item's very good to flip during runs just because it's not very consistent and it takes a while to buy. So yeah, D tier for the Regen Bracelet. The Toxic Blowpipe is definitely an A tier item. It's a pretty low price to buy. They're about 3.5 mil each, and you can get anywhere from 20k to 75k margins on it. They also sell and buy relatively quickly, so it's definitely A tier. The Amulet of Fury is also going to be a B tier item. These are probably the most consistent on the list to flip. You always get about a 15k margin, and they buy and sell within like a matter of a minute probably. If you saw in the last flip around, they bought and sold super fast. Same with the Whip. The only problem with the Whip is the margins are less consistent, and sometimes the margin will be pretty bad. Another example, if you saw my flip run video, the margin was not very good that day, so you weren't able to flip them, so I'll put that in C tier. Along with this Ceradoman Sword, this one has good margins a lot, but the problem is it's not very consistent to buy and sell, so I only flip a couple of these per run, so C tier for the Whip and the Ceradoman Sword. Next up we have Zenite Jewelry. I'm going to put these in the B tier, I think, for probably the same reasons as the Bandos items. These are pretty good to flip if you have a lot of time and money. However, if you don't have a huge cash stack, these will stop the efficiency of your flip run by a lot just because they cost so much. These items are anywhere from like 12 to 20 mil, so B tier for these Zenite jewelry just because of their huge margins, but only do these if you have a big enough cash stack to do so. I'm going to put the uncharged Toxic Trident in the C tier. These can have good margins, but they take a while to buy and sell again. They also are kind of inconsistent, and you need to buy and sell them at a certain time of the day to get the good margin. So I'm going to put this in C tier. You definitely should check these during the price runs, but it's still nothing too special. The last item on the list is going to be the Bandos God Sword. This item is definitely S tier just because the margins are consistently above like 50 to 80k, sometimes up to 200k, 300k. You can get massive margins, and it's not too expensive, sitting at only about 10 mil usually. So I definitely would check these if you have the cash stack. You can get huge margins on these, and they buy and sell pretty quickly. So it's definitely the item I like to flip most on the list. So that's pretty much my tier list for items that I like to flip during my flip runs. Obviously, you could switch some of these around depending on what your cash stack is. This is just a list for anywhere from like a 30 mil to a 200 mil cash stack. So anywhere in there, this is what this list would be for. Obviously, if you had a 10 mil cash stack that you're flipping with, the Bandos items, even the Bandos God Sword would not be B tier or S tier. The Zenite jewelry would also probably be down at F tier. So you could switch these items around. It all depends on your cash stack, but for the average RuneScape player, this is what I think they should be looking at for flip runs. Also, if you haven't yet seen my flip run video before this one, I would recommend watching that. It's pretty helpful, I would say, and shows you how to make almost 1 mil in 10 minutes. So check that out if you haven't seen it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this helps you make some money in the future.